Well, good morning, everyone. I'm John O'Loughlin, and welcome once again to my channel. It's called McDuff_2020 on YouTube, and we are expanding now as Andy, our great engineer, is working to add some other channels to our feed. I know we're now on Periscope, and what else, Andy? Is it Facebook?
Facebook, Periscope,
and let's not forget Osprey Club.
Club Osprey.
Club Osprey.
YouTube and Club Osprey.
Okay, Club Osprey on YouTube. So thanks again for everybody that's been down here for the last week and a half now, working to increase the ability that we have to get our message out. And, my intention right here is to keep working with George Webb as much as I possibly can, because he's the guy that really has a handle on the edge of the news better than any of the mainstream people. And so it's a pleasure, it's an honor, and I'm really happy to welcome once again George Webb to the show. Good morning, George.
Good morning, John. I tell you, this new studio, I can't believe this is the same room.
I know.
So a couple of these guys on our team came in and helped John give a facelift to this room, and it looks great, John. Especially with this daylight coming in and the room. Oh my gosh, and we can move our arms. The other one, we were like in a phone booth like this, but amazingly it worked for a year. And we're breaking out a second studio, basically just taking over John's house with all these different studios. That's today, so that's good. But getting back to the news, I saw that YouTube deleted our video of Ann Vandersteel and you guys calling me at the White House, or excuse me, at the Capitol, just interviewing people in a festive atmosphere, just talking about why they came to Washington. And I did about 5 or 6 interviews, now been deleted. The only one CNN reported was the guy who was the West Virginia senator who was later arrested because he went into the Capitol. Thank God I captured a screenshot of all that first. There was a place Trump was supposed to speak, a truck pulling a trailer that you can see on my Patreon, and you can see on my Twitter this morning. But YouTube went after that because that's where Trump was supposed to speak. Trump was supposed to come up Pennsylvania Avenue, walk up. Plans later got changed to him coming up in a motorcade, and he was going to give an impromptu speech at that. And this is information from the Stop the Steal folks. He was going to give an impromptu speech there, and he was waiting for the vote to start so that there couldn't be any false flag operations there. He was going to speak, and then I've been told Alex Jones was going to try to follow, but Mike Lindell was going to be the pillow guy.
No, I don't remember who he is.
He's the pillow guy. If you're watching Fox, you don't watch.
No, I'm sorry.
I don't either. But he's the guy who.
No, I'm not sorry. I'm happy. I don't watch Fox. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very happy.
But anyway, he's the guy who's people will know who I'm talking about. The Mr. Pillow guy with the Right Side Broadcasting Network. So what people don't understand is the reason why this was called this orange hat operation, where they burst through the barricades, was Trump was planning on speaking on that platform there. And you'll see it in my Twitter, and you'll see it in it's now the new preface of my rewrite of Blackberry's Matter. So there you go.
Okay, so you're rewriting Blackberry's Matter now.
Yes.
Now, George, I had a friend ask me, what does it mean? Why do you call a book called Blackberry's Matter? Honestly, not understanding the connection between all the work that you've done to publicize the Blackberries. So give us a minute for people that are new to the idea of Blackberries and why they matter, just to make it clear and simple.
Sure. There was an informant, a guy by the name of, I call him Deep Blackberry. He was an informant who said he worked with Biden for 30 years. And he connected out this network of people that had these encrypted devices, encrypted communication. The fact that they're Blackberries really doesn't matter, other than the fact that that's what they used, which means they really matter. It's what Hillary used. It's what Huma Abedin used. It's what Anthony Weiner used. They call themselves crackberries. It's what Obama used. It's what Joe Biden used. It's what James Biden used. It's what Hunter Biden used. All the people who negotiated the Iran nuclear deal used them. The new CIA director, I believe his name is William Sullivan, just like your dad's boss. Is that correct? William Sullivan? And then Victoria Newland, who is now on the Biden team coming in, used a BlackBerry. Susan Rice used a BlackBerry. Condoleezza Rice before her used that same BlackBerry. The Kislyak used that same BlackBerry. Mike Flynn used that BlackBerry. Masood, all the people who did the dossier used the BlackBerry. So the BlackBerries only matter because they connect all the dots, right? They help you see the network, and then you can leave out everything else. If you don't have an encrypted BlackBerry and you're not talking to the encrypted BlackBerry server, you're not in the loop. Okay, so it's a way of seeing what's happening. Now, the fact that my BlackBerry that gets left in my lap by this Mr. Biden BlackBerry guy says Senate Sergeant of Arms, and the server is where the January 6th operation went, and we believe that they got the server out of Nancy Pelosi's room there. That's significant because that means it's the hub, right? That's the center of the action at the Sergeant of Arms office there. And the fact is that Nancy Pelosi herself said the server was stolen.
The server, I know laptops, but I personally hadn't heard the word server.
Well, see, the thing is, these laptops now can be used. The same exact sort of burglary happened. People are saying 16 laptops. People are saying 17. People are saying 20. But the same exact type of robbery happened at the end of the inauguration last time in 2016. Only they blamed an aide to Debbie Wasserman Schultz named Imran Awan. They say that he went around and stole 20 different BlackBerries and stole 20 different laptops after the Trump inauguration. Why? It could be that he couldn't find any other way to get a BlackBerry and he wanted to risk his whole career by stealing from congressional members. Or it could be he was mopping up an operation, cleaning up an operation. Isn't that exactly what happened here? The only problem is Nancy Pelosi in 2016 said, Imran, get in here, no staff. This time she couldn't say, Imran, get in here, no staff, because everybody knew who Imran was. So what better way than to blame all the Trump impersonators, say they stole the BlackBerries. And away they went. There's a guy who was walking out, looks pregnant with all these laptops, and out they went. She said that the laptops are stolen on 60 Minutes.
Well, we saw the picture of the guy, that looked like basically got pregnant because he's carrying a lot of stuff under his coat. Well, she's claiming that they were stolen by just some mysterious group that she doesn't know who's got them.
Right.
Okay. So all this happened right under the eyes of the most watched building in the entire world.
Yeah.
With more security, more cameras. And she can't figure out who got the laptops.
Yeah, and Ann Vandersteel got a picture of it, and Ann feels, and General McInerney, the 3-star that goes on Ann's show a lot, that I did a couple shows with, he says that the White Hats got the BlackBerry, got the server. I have other indications, but I want to believe that, but I don't believe that. I believe that I saw the group form up, this Antifa type group. They didn't look anything like Trump supporters. They look like a prison gang. They're all mid-20s to mid-30s. All the kind of face piercings you can imagine, all the kind of prison tattoos on their face, neck sleeves, all everywhere. Just look like right out of prison. And all 50 of them formed up, put these orange hats on really quickly on the grassy knoll there, came down First Avenue and burst through the little low fence, little kind of child fence that they had there. And then they took their hats off. They took their orange hats off and put them in their pockets as they were storming the Capitol. I think some switched to red MAGA hats. Now, why? Why would you switch hats unless you were doing an operation? The cannon boomed, seemingly like a signal on the top of the hill. And then these guys charged, just like, a Civil War charge, and the flags and everything.
So when you hear the boom, and that was what that was, a flash grenade or something went off, right?
Yeah. Okay. Or a confetti cannon or whatever, but it was a signal to rush the gate. And they rushed the gate, and there it is. There's a picture of it. I think Andy's showing a picture of it. And there's the orange hats. Now you'll see later on in the day, this is an unusual situation where you have hundreds of thousands. Like Dealey Plaza, you had one Zapruder film. This is the opposite. we have hundreds of thousands of Zapruder films with these orange hats, and we've been going through these footages night and day with all of our team, 10 people, 12 people, looking at all these images. So what's going to happen is these are going to be, now that we have the pattern of what happened, now we can keep culling and putting a timeline together with these guys.
Mm-hmm. Andy, I'm looking over your shoulder and I see a picture of a gang of people wearing those orange hats. Have we been able to show that on the stream?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Because I hadn't seen that picture before, but clearly that's exactly who you was talking about, and you must have been kind of behind them as they were forming up.
Yeah, I was in front of them and they were marching toward me, and then I got out of their way, and then they marched right where I was, and then they went right to the little kitty gates.
Speaking of kitties, we often have in the past, when it was a free place, we used to have kids groups coming to the Capitol all the time. And they would always wear this, they'd have a green shirt or an orange shirt or a yellow shirt. And so I'm thinking these guys are just like those kids, they've all got to have the same color hat so they don't get lost, right?
That's right.
And I'm sure they're very sophisticated special ops people, and they could find their way out of a desert, but they can't find their way around Capitol Hill without an orange hat on.
Well, and what they took away was an interview I did with a guy whose father, who said one of his sons was a sniper on the other side of the Capitol. And he said, don't worry, the snipers aren't going to shoot anybody today. But you wonder, did you put those orange hats on to make sure that don't shoot any of the guys with the orange hats?
Yeah.
Those are our guys.
That makes sense.
And they didn't, and putting the hat back in your pocket, we even have a photo. Somebody picked out a photo of one of my guys, things of him putting the hat back in his pocket. Now you combine that, you say, well, this is conspiracy. You're saying the 4th Psychological Operations Group out of Fayetteville. You've been down to Fayetteville 15 times. You've said special ops. Hires these guys. You're either Antifa one day or you're a Trump MAGA guy another day, right? Well, we actually have a person now not in custody, but under suspicion. Her name is Emily Rainey, and she is 4th PSYOPs Special Forces she says it. I mean, and she's under suspicion of loading a bus of 100 people to come to Washington, D.C. and cause to go in and get the servers. So we don't know if that was their mission or not, but we have a lot of witnesses to this. Mm-hmm. And 100 people on 100 buses, as we start going through these court cases, and this is a court you worked a lot in, John, so I know you know your way around it. We're going to be combing through, the Harry Greeks of the world are going to be combing through the information and getting timelines of these individual people. When did you get on the bus in Fayetteville? When did you get off the bus in DC? And where did you rally? How did it go? 100 people. It's very difficult to keep that a secret.
Well, it's also very difficult to give up hope. And when I say, I have no reason to think there's any hope anymore. I mean, Trump was very, very clear. Nevertheless, like General McEnany, like Ann Vandersteel, there are people that say they have inside information that, I was looking at this guy this morning, a man named Spence from the UK, who says he spoke to Q himself this morning, early in the morning, for an hour and a half. And don't worry, everything's fine. The plan is underway. And the message is, don't worry, it's all fine.
Well, I mean, I believe him. The person who really knows who Q is, and that it's a team, is Jeff Prather. He was 4th Special PSYOPs. That was who he was a whistleblower against. He was the Smith-Munt stuff, this fake news stuff. Mm-hmm. And he says it's Ezra Watnick. Now he believes Ezra Watnick's a white hat. Ezra Watnick worked for Mike Flynn. Everyone knows that, and everybody knows Tony Schaefer also works on that team, and Jack Posobiec has been, kind of in that orbit. And so General McInerney was a part of the general crew that came in to ask Trump to run in 2015. That was Mike Flynn's doing again. General Vallely, the 2-star that works with him, was a part of that group to get Trump to run. Now also a part of the Trump faithful generals, if you will. Most of the generals defected against Trump or mutinied against Trump. So we'll see if this Q feed, I mean, the thing about Q, I always said, is you got to take some of that stuff because it does come from confidential, classified. You could tell there's some information there that's classified. You just got to throw out the stuff that's spin. And,
that's hard.
It's hard, but there are some things that you can look at and say, oh, that's a person who knows what he's talking about. They just said fourth psyops. That's going to be right. That's where these operations are run out of, and David Petraeus, again, we go back to the statue, General Sheldon there in Fayetteville. Who was his special assistant when they were in Bosnia? David Petraeus, who is now, what are the 7,000 troops now in DC? Where do they come from? 10th Mountain Division, Fort Drum. I spent a night there researching this with David Petraeus. David Petraeus's unit, right? Who's this girl down here at Fayetteville, this Emily Rainey? She is started a nonprofit called Always Further. And I can't remember what the 10th Mountains motto is, but it's similar to that. So I just think this was a Petraeus op, from the beginning. Hey,
you're saying that the troops that we see occasionally now in DC are 10th Mountain Division?
Yes.
And the 10th Mountain Division was formerly David Petraeus's division.
Yes.
So he had command of the division?
Yes.
Okay. So and he may have followed other people that are also of a similar bent that would cooperate with the deep state and not with necessarily with the will of the American people.
Like the PSYOP that was done in Mogadishu was 10th Mountain, the one that caused all the trouble and all the shooting and everything. And, you're going to go get one drug dealer. Do you really need 5 Black Hawk helicopters? And do you really need to telegraph that you're coming? And do you really need to set up your own people?
That's Black Hawk down.
Black Hawk down, right. Now, I'm not saying Petraeus also wasn't at the 82nd Airborne in Fort Bragg and not at the 101st Airborne, Fort Campbell in Kentucky. I'm not saying he didn't have associations with those people, Fort Benning, different Army paratrooper type forces. But I'm just saying his close association as far as where his intelligence operatives came from was 10th Mountain. And to me, if I was Dick Petraeus, I'd be going in there and scouring everything to get any fingerprints of 10th Mountain out of there. I would just completely rebuild the Capitol inside the whole vestibule area because of fingerprint, even though the guys are wearing gloves and everything. And plus you can do facial recognition just on this much. So most of them were wearing sunglasses. That's the way you know who the operatives are and who isn't. Somebody's wearing sunglasses inside. That's odd,
Yeah.
That's odd. So look for the guys wearing sunglasses and you can pick out those guys. Now I see 10th Mountain has always been used by Petraeus through special forces to do these operations for a long time, but we'll see. We don't know. But again, the Blackberries are used by 10th Mountain. They're used by all the Army. And Flynn had a Blackberry talking to Afghanistan with these Blackberries, these military Blackberries.
Well, I remember that 10th Mountain was the ones that were on Osama's trail when the news was that they basically were closing in on him, and then an order came down to shift their priorities to somewhere else, just as they were getting close to the supposed Osama cave. I don't know whether the 10th Mountain Division back then in 2001 was run by somebody, a predecessor of Petraeus that would have had the same motives, or whether it was an honest, American Army unit that was just being played with by higher authority.
Yeah, 10th Mountain, Fort Drum. Well, I think if Osama bin Laden was a PSYOP in order to draw out a lot of us Islamic extremists so that we can find, fix, and finish them, and that's the psychology here, is we got to present a hero so then we can track them and use all of our technology and drones to kill them all. Okay, that's one thing, but to take all the money that we send to Afghanistan and Pakistan and then launder it back through, like the Imran Awans of the world, into the Democratic Party so they can control their people, to control our representatives, to get their Smith Munt, and all their little budgets. It's not a virtuous cycle. That's the secret team that you were talking about with your book and with Fletcher Prouty's book.
Well, the book that I read last night, which I think the last chapter of it, which I did read last night, does put it all together pretty well for me. And that is that it's been a British intelligence, British banking connections takeover of the American government intentionally over many, many, many decades as a matter of long-term British banking policy to control the American government so that they could use all of our resources, all of our soldiers and all of our investments to consolidate their power and to take away the power of the American people. And today seems to be like right now we're sitting here in the culmination of their plan. And unless somehow, General McInerney turns out to be right, I don't think there's anything we can do except for to accept the fact. And so, George, what I'm thinking, for the future is to write a history of freedom in America, from the whatever day you want to start on until January 6th, 2021. And those are the bookends of this being a free country. And I can just write it from a historical point of view, say, well, this is what it used to be like before we had to, consider that Big Brother's looking at everything we do. This is what it used to be like when we could rely on the cops in our neighborhood to be friendly and supportive if our kids got in trouble. This is what it used to be like when you could walk down the street, knock on a neighbor's house, and know that they would lend you a pound of butter or a cup of sugar, and that the old idea of neighborhood and really living by the golden rule, George. Yeah. That's what America should be. That's what it was intended to be, and that's what we had when I was growing up. But over the course of my life, it's been taken away from us by these same forces.
Yeah, I think John's referring to chapter 31, the summary. I think you'd summarize a few more than maybe just that one chapter.
Oh, I did seven parts of the book. I would like to do all 30 some chapters, but a number of the chapters were really great. It's just that I had just read a book about that, so why read it twice? You know?
But what's the name of the book again?
It's called Killing the Planet.
Killing the Planet.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like more of a weather or ecology book, but it's not. It's a political geoscience book. And we had about a 3-hour discussion, and you came over for that afterward based on that chapter. Yeah. Because I went right into roads. And, when I say British banking, I just kind of go roads.
Yeah, roads.
And then his second that they put into South Africa to control the mineral and oil and everything. And the dark weapons was Milner. Milner. Yeah. So, and Milner had this kindergarten of all these people that they were going to groom, these kids that would be separated from their parents somehow, and then they would groom them like the Bill Clintons of the world, and then they would put them in there like Susan Rice. She grew up with Madeleine Albright. I mean, she didn't know her family. Obama had.
She grew up with Madeleine Albright.
Yeah, she grew up with Madeleine Albright. And,
that poor woman.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have some sympathy for some of these people.
So like you grow up in an environment where it's okay to kill 500,000 people.
Madeleine Albright's, Bosnia is her thing. That was her, and Kosovo was even a bigger thing. Yeah. But we went through all of the Miller's kids that we have that are being put in right now, into the Joe Biden cabinet. Victoria Nuland we talked about. I got to believe a couple of the Hillary retreads they're going to throw in there after they announce all the Biden retreads. Yeah. But I mean, they're all Tony Blinken. I mean, you couldn't come up with a Blackberry list. I can probably see John Kerry being the ambassador to somewhere, I mean, it's just going to be crazy.
Wait, I'm losing my. Which one was the one from Iran that was Obama's closest? Was that?
Ben Rhodes?
No, a woman.
Oh, Valerie Jarrett. Yeah.
Valerie Jarrett. Yeah. She coming back too?
I don't think so, because I think that Joe is completely compromised and they can just, flip him like a light switch. Obama had a little bit of a backbone in Syria, and they don't like that. And
they just go get the other Biden if they need a different answer, right?
Right, James. I think I think people didn't understand the significance of the Blackberries. Again, just because I was at McAfee and Network Socius when they ported this encryption software to the BlackBerry, that was the first one they chose. That just happens to be the story, folks. I can't control what they decided to port it to, but it does seem to tie the network together quite nicely. So, I keep reporting it, but all the people that are coming in have this background. And I was trying to remember the gal who was selling the energy deals. Cheryl Mills, was it Cheryl Mills that also had the BlackBerry was for Hillary? And so it's going to be fun over the next 4 years because all the metadata is there. We've got 4 more years of smarts to unfold this thing.
Yeah. If we work fast enough, we might even other thing that I'm hoping for is that after he gets, the power on the 20th, that my good friends that voted for him will start to have an open mind, because they have not been willing to even crack their mind wide enough to have a little bit of critical thinking going on. The only thing they want to know is, what's the next Orange Man Bad meme, and let's pass it around.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what a lot of these leftist outfits, the far left outfits, like David Brock, Media Matters and stuff, what are they going to do with their time? You got a nice super chat from somebody here, Carol M.
Thank you, Carol M.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where you go, if you can't say Orange Man Bad, what do you do? Are you going to go? Who's going to be the backbencher, the shadow government that there's typically a gadfly that, you go to? Is it going to be Ted Cruz? Is that, is it going to be Mitt Romney? These rhino carpetbaggers, I don't think anybody's going to follow.
They're just going to have to make up a school play like you've always said.
But I just can't imagine Trump is such a huge lightning rod one way or the other, that you're not going to be able to get any kind of consensus for a while. That's
what I'm thinking is if Trump is off the stage long enough, then people are going to start seeing, hey, this sounds an awful lot like 1984, and I'm not sure I'm happy with, the constant surveillance and the medical, martial law. Now that does raise up a question. And I've seen people offer the opinion that, well, suddenly the lockdowns are going to end, the COVID's going to go away, and Joe Biden's going to take credit for it. He's going to say, look what I did. I got rid of the lockdowns for you. Other people, probably more like me, are thinking, no, Klaus Schwab was not kidding. COVID is the way, the open door to the Great Reset. And the Great Reset requires that we stay locked down. So I think more likely that they're going to keep on with the lockdown procedures and the vaccines and all of these terror tactics to keep us afraid to actually think and start, creating our own politics again. I think they're going to keep on pushing. Now, what do you think?
I'm totally in agreement. Again, your book last night, Killing the Earth.
Yeah, Killing the Planet.
Killing the Planet.
Yeah, and by the way, it does the other chapters, which I had just read a lot of the great book by Peter Kirby, Chemtrails Exposed. So a lot of that same material was in there, and no need to read it again.
Right. Well, the Killing the Planet, the part at the end, which was Rockefeller Foundation starting the CIA, right from the very beginning, with this whole thing, using the United States was going to be the policeman of the world. And so these Oxfordian banking interests were going to use and manipulate the U.S. and the strength and the might of the U.S. to go around and do all the energy deals around the world. Well, now I agree. The Klaus Schwab World Economic Forum, China's our new big brother. China's our new policeman. We want to lock down the United States. We want to keep this thing going. Yeah. And this is what you do before you attack a town. You ride a messenger through, talk to the mayor, and you say, anybody comes outside is going to get killed. Any resistance, you're going to get killed. And the Rockefeller plan is called the Lockstep, Operation Lockstep. Since 2010, it's been around. Harry Vox, who is very anti-Israel.
I don't know him at all.
Some people out there might know him.
Is he a YouTuber?
Yeah, YouTuber. He's been talking about this for, I don't know, since 2014, about this Operation Lockstep and how they're going to lock everybody down. They're going to try to shut the churches down. They're going to make schools virtual. They're going to make it so you have to get the vaccine in order to go back to work, fly a plane, get a bank account, push the digital currency. There he is. And he gets into these lathers, you know. There was a comedian named Joseph Black who would get into these emotional like rants and lathers, and it was so funny. And Harry doesn't know he's doing that, but he is fun to watch. Farmer Jones sometimes, but you get the idea that this Operation Lockstep is not going anywhere. Like you said, if you want to push, if you want to make if the Oxford guys want to move this over to China, the policeman role, that's the Great Reset. I believe Klaus Schwab when he says that. Yeah. So I think that's what's coming. And what's nice about your book last night, it laid that out. You know, the whole Rockefeller, you know, gave the money for the CIA.
Roads to Rockefeller, CFR, Trilateral Commission, all of it right there in one chapter.
And then once the Soviet Union falls, then you can pick up all of those pieces too. So you have the Atlantic Council. And who's the guy who programmed all the phones, the BlackBerry? Dmitry Alperovich with the Atlantic Council. Who's the guy who ran all the election operations in 2016 with ShadowNet and Berge? James Jones, General James Jones, Atlantic Council. And you just feel like the whole election operations again for this were run by James Jones, Atlantic Council, and then the on the feet ground 10th Mountain stuff was done by David Petraeus. And they just went in there. I mean, I saw the guys. I watched them, and I watched them beeline. And then they went around. They all had something to do. They had flags that were rolled up, right? Which is another thing, which is like pikes.
Yeah. Because you saw that one video where the people are looking down from I guess a balcony, and they're looking down, and that group approaches the door. And as they get to the door, they start swinging those flag poles back and forth, making it look like they're getting very, very violent. I don't know if anybody actually hit anybody with one, but the idea was to create the idea that, hey, we're rough, we're tough, and we're going into that building. Yeah. And, you know, at that same time, the cop inside was opening the door for them, so they really didn't have to be violent. Yeah. It was like you say, it was a show.
But they cleared it. You could see in the films, and this is what's great about the films. Your films don't lie, right? Yeah. They're swinging the things to clear a space around the windows, and then they take the thing and unfurl it. It's a Trump flag, and then they literally false flag, literally taking the Trump flag, using that to smash the window. I mean, it's that obvious. But you know, and then I saw another guy with a Confederate flag coming the other direction. So he was meeting all the orange hats, another guy, and I even have a film of this where I said, hey, that's an Antifa guy. He's got a Confederate flag. This is false flag. Because I was thinking the orange hats were, you know, I thought they were Antifa. They were saying F Antifa, but I thought, that's what I would say. But I saw the guy with the Confederate flag. Well, all these people around me goes, you're a liar. We didn't bring any Confederate flags. You know, you must be media. So they thought I was, you know, Wolf Blitzer, you know. But it turned out a Confederate flag did show up inside.
I saw, Capitol. Because somebody was like running through the Capitol, like, you know, I'm the vanguard of the Confederacy, you know.
There was no Confederate flags outside.
There was one, you know, I've made that comment on my social media, and one person said, well, look at this picture. Here's this guy. Well, it was this really forlorn guy, you know, that was facing the wrong way. You know, he looked like he'd probably been handed a $20 bill and said, here, hold this flag while I take your picture, you know.
I saw him the previous day. I saw him the previous day down by the JW Marriott, sitting there and literally not interacting with everybody, just sitting there like he was fishing or something.
Like those guys on the corner that have the Statue of Liberty thing, you know, saying, you know, a car, you know, houses for sale, go this way, you know, and spinning the thing.
yeah. Quarter a hawker. And I went over to him and I said, "Hey, dude, the war's over."
Yeah.
And
You did.
he was so old. He was so old. I was like, "Hey, dude, the war's over. Like, why are you bringing that here? You know, that's just so stupid."
Yeah.
But it was, false flags
it's
work.
important. You know why it's important? Because, and I didn't know this, but one of my friends in West Virginia said, out here, there's Confederate flags flying from every house. There's areas in the country where there really are these, South will rise again, folks, and they've got their Confederate flags. I'm aware of that. So the point is not to say the people at the protest necessarily were Confederates, but it's just to tag that right-wing Confederate, quote unquote racist meme to all the good people that went to the protest. And there's no legitimacy to it. The people that went to that protest went there for the United States of America, period.
Yeah. And all week we've been doing 1 and 2 minute, we're living in a house of 2 houses of 15 or so people that were there. And we're doing short interviews, 2-minute interviews that, are testimonials. And we're going to
record the testimony.
Yeah. And everybody's saying it was peaceful. The people were singing. I think the thing that flipped the switch though was when they sang the national anthem. And it was such a beautiful thing.
All the people sang
the national anthem. They were waving the flags. It was a great moment. And we didn't know. And then literally about a minute after that, the shot for the girl, the Babbitt girl. And it just totally took the air out of the sails. But I will say this, these guys are good at psychological operations.
You bet.
It's for psychological operations for a good reason. And they've had a lot of practice. We just have to recognize it when we see it and go, oh, false flag. Same 5 guys going around from window to window to window.
Yeah.
And same cameraman following them and getting all the shots. And then they cut it all up into CNN and push it out before anybody has a chance to actually do the same thing that who's actually there. And that's what happened. You can see actually in one shot where there's the Patriot Trump guys trying to stop the guys. He's trying to bear hug them so that they won't put the flag through. And where's that on CNN? And CNN took my picture. I interviewed all the people there, and they were in very festive spirits and not talking about violence in any way. Nobody made any threats. We did that show. CNN put that. People in my family called me and said, "What are you doing? You're inciting this violence," because the West Virginia state senator from Huntington, West Virginia, had been arrested. He had went inside. I said, "Oh no, don't go inside. You're going to get arrested. That's a honey trap. That's Nancy Pelosi's honey trap." But he went in. He got arrested. Well, they showed me with him on CNN twice. 2 different family members called me 2 different days and said, "You're in the picture with the guy who's arrested. They're mobsters." And they took, but see, they'll take that footage for themselves. But our show, they have to delete that. So you can't actually hear the guy talk and hear he's quite reasonable. And he probably went in there because it was a rush of emotion. He was a young guy. And it was really unfortunate, but deleted it. So you can't find out the true facts that were there. It was quite festive. You interviewed me. So,
Yeah. And there was nobody expected anything terrible to happen. And then boom.
Yeah. So, John, I know we got a big agenda. There's a new McDuff color version, and it's actually selling quite well, even though it's $20. So people love the color. You gave me all those new pictures. We're going to go find some new pictures today.
Oh, I've got so many pictures.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The book will be,
well, maybe you write volume 2.
Volume 2, yeah. But we're going to go do that today. Another studio, the White Room. What else is on our mind here? What books we're going to try to do the books and summaries?
Well, what I do is I've been on Wednesday nights. I've been doing a live show, creating a 1-hour summary of the books on the book train at screamingospreys.com.
Yeah.
And so far I've got 3 of them done, and then the charrettes happened. So I postponed. The next one I want to do is Dr. Mary's Monkey.
Yeah.
And then after that, I want to get back and do Servitors of Empire again.
Oh, yeah.
Because Dr. Hamamoto's book is so good.
Yeah, it is.
And it's just so good. You have no idea. I mean, he's wonderful to listen to. He's great, does great. He has a video YouTube channel, which Professor Hamamoto for YouTube. Okay. But he's a terrific writer, and he wrapped his arms around the whole idea of servitors and just put it together in a way that you just gotta love it. So those are my plans as far as, and then the other thing is Addy Ads. You know, he's a tech guy that has been helping a lot. He has been busy cataloging, creating playlists, and preparing to bulk upload. And we're going to go with BitChute and perhaps some other places to just start putting everything back up on the internet, so you can get the whole book readings as well as the summaries at screamingospreys.com.
Reestablish those links that Jumping Mouse did so much trouble.
Yeah, and
to create.
And she's still working on constantly too. She's done the playlist on McDuff 2020. She's doing the playlist on screamingospreys.com, and she keeps up with everything daily. So I mean, we have so much wonderful support now. It's just awesome. But I do want to particularly thank Addy for volunteering to take my 850 gigabytes of videos and actually organize them in a way that we can make use of them. And then we'll go back and select the ones that really we want to republish again with some images, maybe shorten them up, cut out some of the dead air, and make it really a more consumable video. Take an hour and make it down to 20 minutes, but add some interesting video, text, things like that. Yeah. And you know, we've got a good crowd of people here, so we'll be working hard for the rest of the week.
Yeah, and I think this is the future. I think these books were carefully selected by John out of thousands of books that he's read, carefully selected to give us a toolkit. This is what I call sort of McDuff's toolkit. Yeah. And they're, you know, just like you'd have a hammer and saw and chisel and every situation to deconstruct something that's bad. You know, that's each one of these books helps you understand what you're dealing with. You know, the brothers, and then Stephen Kinzer's book, you know, and then with the Jim Marrs book and all these books. And we want to bring these authors to this channel and bring them here if possible. We got a gentleman who's a professor at James Madison University who has all the de Mohrenschildt papers. I can't remember his name right now, but boy, wouldn't that be interesting to talk about how the White Russians came in here, and if those somehow overlap with the McDuff files. And that's my next book, is the McDuff files.
Well, they're certainly going to, because of the White Russians, you know, in Connecticut. You know, you put all those White Russians in Connecticut. You know, who else do you have in Connecticut? Well, a lot of things happened in Connecticut. There was part of that the German Bund, you know, in the 30s and 40s. That was both New York and Connecticut. And the White Russians that came into Connecticut, they kept in a pretty much their own places. Yeah. So it's definitely likely that there was White Russian influence on the power structure in Connecticut during my dad's lifetime that was part of the pressures that came from on high to try to get him to conform to their wishes. Well, which, of course, he never would.
Yeah, he never would. And he goes to the same school, Loomis, obviously, that we visited, which is de Mohrenschildt School. And the brother of George de Mohrenschildt was working with George Bush on oil plays around the Caribbean basin and so forth, and toppling governments to get the oil. Yeah. But then the brother is seemingly a British intelligence kind of operative to put the right White Russians into America. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so we have this one guy we're talking about is this Golanowski guy, who supposedly used a false name. His real name is, the Romanov. You know, he's the last of the Romanovs.
That's what he said, and there's quite a story there too. So that'll be part of the history that we're writing, or in putting together the history from say 1920 to now, in an understandable way. with a limited number of books to read, maybe about 20, you're going to get a course in modern history that's going to enable you to make good decisions about what to do in the present. Without that historical background, we're just foundering. We don't know what to do. We're pawns of Zbigniew Brzezinski, whose dream it was to take away our powers of critical thinking, to make us people that just repeat what we heard on the evening news, to turn us into serfs as opposed to citizens.
And just to bring up Dr. Z there, Zbigniew, the mentor-mentee relationship was with none other than Madeleine Albright at Columbia. So if these things repeat, and of course, Peter Strzok goes to Georgetown later on, mentor-mentee relationship with Madeleine Albright there. So it's a gift that keeps on coming. If you do get these books, they are such great toolkits that they just help you. It's like a searchlight, when you're trying to find something. It's so helpful. And I really thank you for reading all these. And now on the second pass, they think they're going to knock us down, with the trying to take away your channel and try to take away all the effort.
I don't think so.
And we just say, we're going to do it again better.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're going to shorten it down and we're going to make it more graphics. Andy DeBala right now with these new things, he's adding you can see Screaming Ospreys.
The ability to have Andy there and add content as we talk is just fabulous.
It's amazing, and the chat and so forth, being able to, with the StreamYard, being able to add the chat in real time.
Yeah, by the way, people are anxious to know where to find George Webb. So, you had to change your Twitter handle again, right? So, and let's give everybody the latest, greatest insight as to how to find George Webb, in addition to right here at McDuff _2020.
It's Real George Webb and the number 1 on Twitter. Real George Webb and the number 1. And I had my Twitter hacked. They still have control of it. They just accused me of running the orange hats. My old Twitter.
You mean your old Twitter is accusing your new Twitter?
Yeah, and me, my old Twitter. I'm not kidding. They're saying I organized. I went down to Fayetteville. I got all the.
Now, who is, when you say they? Do we have any idea?
No, we don't have any idea. But they say that I went to Fayetteville on my trips and got these orange hats. I'm not kidding.
You can't get orange hats in DC.
Yeah. No, I mean, I got the criminals and the ne'er-do-wells.
Oh, you mean the people?
The people. Yeah. I rented the buses. I took them up. I formed them up over on the grassy knoll. Yeah. I marched them all down because I'm seen with them. I mean, there's all kinds of pictures with me in the orange hats. And I told them onward, go get that Nancy Pelosi server. That's our Antifa server. It's the one with all the blackberries around it. Get the bag. But in a way, sometimes they think, oh, the hack. So anyway, the bottom line is I lost that server, and they also took out the Real George Webb. So I need to go Real George Webb 1 and GORERGE 1. All
right.
So there you go.
Well, folks, I'm really looking forward to this evening. My show is going to be at a special time, 7 p.m., not 8 p.m. And because I'm taking the opportunity to interview for the first time Garland Nixon.
Oh, yeah.
And Garland has started a YouTube channel, which I urge you to support. He, of course, I got to know from watching the shows that he did with Lee Stranahan.
Fault Lines, yeah.
And Fault Lines, that's right. And Garland has, I think he's getting close to 1,000 subscribers. You all know how important that is. So if you haven't subscribed to him, please do. Read his tweets. Look at what he's saying. I think he's making a lot of sense. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how close we are to one another, because he comes at it from a more of a progressive side.
Yeah.
But the things that he's been saying lately indicate that he understands the depth of the depravity a lot better than most people on the left seem to understand it.
Yeah,
I think he's doing really a superb job. So tonight, 7 p.m., right here on McDuff channel with none other than Garland Nixon.
Yeah, and now, John, with this bigger studio that you have here, I would love to see you do this kind of format with Garland, with him sitting here like he used to do with Lee Stranahan.
Yeah.
Because that way you only have the one bandwidth, and you're it's just better when you're together like this in the studio.
We'll put him in an Uber.
Yeah. No, Garland knows how to get down here. Garland knows how to get down here.
All right.
So we'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, that's our show for today, guys. Thanks so much for being with us. And once again, thank you to Andy and Dave for incredible work yesterday to put together this new studio. I'm not sure what we're going to call it yet, but this will be the other one. The other one's going to be the White Room studio. And George has some great ideas of how to put that together. So he has his crew, and we're going to see what he does in the White Room this afternoon.
I just wanted to say that if you want to sponsor the studio for a month.
Yeah.
If you want to sponsor the studio, it probably took a couple $1,000, all up, well, let's say at least, labor and everything.
Andy's saying
No.
5,000.
No. But it took, we had to get guys here. We had to get all the logistics. We have another person.
New camera.
A new mic, all this stuff.
But
so I'm just saying, if you want to sponsor the newsroom for John, John, we probably should say, hey,
go to screamingospreys.com and scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see donate buttons. You can either do PayPal or Patreon.
But would you name the studio after someone if they donated $500? Would you name
No.
No for that month?